Hey folks, so many months ago, when I was initially doing my WoW speedrunning and streaming, I said on stream that I would eventually attempt a Final Fantasy main story quest speedrun. Now, I believe the exact words I used were attempt, but by that I was really meaning I'm going to get the world record on this speedrun because, what can I say? I'm a perfectionist, that's the kind of stuff that I want to go for. That being said, I am not at that point yet. As much as I plan to go get the world record, and I have done a lot of practice and a lot of preparation and research, I don't think I am yet at a point where I can actually get the world record like in one attempt. First of all, the total speedrun, the current world record, is 15 hours. So no matter how you slice it, the Final Fantasy main story quest speedrun is brutal. I need to put in a lot of preparation and a lot of practice, even more than I've already put in, if I want to get that world record. Now, in the past, whenever I do stuff like this, I really like to make sure that I don't upload a video until I've beaten a record. So I kind of had that going in WoW for a while. I only uploaded my first video when I had already taken the Horde world record, and then I continually made new videos when I had lowered it and lowered it and lowered it. And like I said, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. That being said, I would rather not just sit here and not make any videos whatsoever for Final Fantasy XIV, because I think that to a certain extent, the learning process of a speedrun is almost as valuable, if not more, than the actual world record itself. Because, yeah, like, a lot of people watch me lower the world record in WoW over and over and over and think, oh my god, this guy can just speedrun anything. But no, the reality is, I put in an insane amount of practice, and I also had like 18 years or whatever in WoW at this point. God even knows how long I've been playing. Since I've been 5 years old, I've been playing WoW. So I just have so much built-in muscle memory for that game, and on top of that, a ridiculous amount of practice and test runs done for WoW, that it eventually became pretty easy for me to do the run, but I'm not at that point with Final Fantasy yet. And as you will see in this run, this is one of the first full, and I say full because this is only part one of it, but full practice runs I am attempting to do. My current plan for this, and initially I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about it, which is why I've cut out the opening and re-recorded it, is I wanted to test an entire segmented version of the full run. And when I went into this recording, I kind of figured, you know what, I'll try to do commentary, but admittedly I was kind of half-hearted about it because I was like, well, I'm never going to get the world record, so it doesn't matter. But towards the end, I started to think, I can still turn this into a YouTube video. It's not like it's useless. Like, the process of me trying to figure it out and trying to remember different things is still valuable, I feel. I think there's still something to be learned from that. You don't get a world record speedrun in a day. This is the effort that you need to put in. So I figured I'd still upload this. This is part one. There are a few things that I want to quickly note before we hop into the speedrun itself. First of all, I really want to make this clear because I do not want to get flamed in the comments for it, which is also why I am not putting a timestamp to skip to the start, because I want people to listen to this. I have been playing this game for 3 years. I have done the main story quest multiple times. I have done many parts of the A Realm Reborn main story quest a crap ton of times in preparation for this run. I know the story, I love the story, and I am not just skipping the story. I get that there's a lot of new Final Fantasy players out there right now who are skipping cutscenes and ignoring the story and then complaining that it doesn't make sense. Believe me when I say, I have played through this game numerous times. So I know that some people are still going to skip past this and put in angry comments saying, oh, this guy skips through the story, this isn't how Final Fantasy is supposed to be played. It's a speedrun. I know that if you are a new player to Final Fantasy, you should watch the cutscenes. It's fantastic. Absolutely do not do yourself the disservice of doing what I do here and skip the cutscenes. But I am simply trying to go through the main story quest in additional time and giving myself the fun challenge of speedrunning it and trying to be the fastest at it. This is just another playthrough for me. Just wanted to make that clear because I know that there's going to be someone who watches it and complains about that. Also, one thing I do want to quickly point out. If you look at some of the other Final Fantasy speedruns at the moment, the current meta is to start as Conjurer in Gridania, and to basically play as a healer for the entire run. Now, this start, from my testing, does appear to be the fastest. The meta start, that is, not the start that I'm going to be using. I've tried to do something a bit different. Now, as many people know, I enjoy playing tanks. I do not want to play a healer. I want to play a tank. So even if I have to eat a pretty significant time save at the start of the run, I am going to attempt to make up that time save by just doing really good tanking throughout the course of the speedrun. This may take a few tries. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get this record, but goddamn am I going to give it my all. And this is where the practice comes in. This is where this run comes in. Now, I will say I don't know exactly how I'm going to divide it. This is a very, very clear dividing point. So as you will see, this run goes up to the 1 hour and 28 minute mark of the speedrun. And the reason I did this cutoff is because I stopped the moment I reached the first dungeon, Sastasha. And that's because this is where all 3 starting zones converge. So it's a very, very, very important milestone in the main story quest speedrunning, because the intro zones, Gridania, ul'dah, or Gridania, Thanalan, Lanaska, whatever, you know what I mean. I keep confusing the cities and the place. They all have different playthroughs, all have different storylines. The way to get through these zones the fastest is one of the biggest components in getting an efficient start in these speedruns. So I have done a meticulous route of the ul'dah start, which is what I will demonstrate here. I think I have gotten it to a point that is pretty close to perfect in terms of routing potential. If you think that there is something I can do better, please, by all means, throw this in the comments. I am uploading this the day of me running this. I did the run at like 6 a.m. It is still 6 a.m. And it'll probably be uploaded later this afternoon. So this is not something that I did a week ago and it's already done. I am creating these strategies as we speak. If you notice something that you think could help me improve the run, I would be absolutely super happy to hear it and like consider it and try to adapt the run. I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect here. I've just done a shit ton of research and practice, but I don't have the experience in Final Fantasy that I do in WoW. I know a good bit about the game, but I am not like an encyclopedia. So I'm sure there is something that I have missed. Additionally, when we start to get to the later parts of the speedrun, there are going to be things that I will probably have missed there too. It's just a fact of life. I'll do my best. I'm trying to do more research, trying to figure out like what tricks are used that maybe I'm not super familiar with. I'm looking. I'm going to try to make it as best as I can, and eventually I'm going to try to take the world record. As far as upload schedules for this go, it really kind of depends on how quickly I do this. We might be seeing more frequent uploads, we might not. I don't know. Right now it's been like 2-week gaps in between every single video I do, just because of a mix of like, depression and anxiety and frustration with my own videos. I've had at least 3 different videos I planned on uploading that I just threw in the trash because I wasn't happy with them. So we'll see how it goes with this. We'll see if I manage to make it through the entire speedrun, continually uploading the parts, or if I give up halfway through. At this point, I don't know. I'll have to play it by ear. But right now, we get up to Sastasha. Next time, I'm not entirely sure how far I'll go. I definitely want to do the first few dungeons. Maybe I'll go up until I get my job crystal. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see. But anyways, that is it for the intro. I've already talked for probably way too long, but I have a tendency to ramble. And I'm keeping this all in because I want to make sure that everybody hears this, so I don't see the same thing in the comments a million times. Is that a bit selfish of me? Maybe. But, well, when you see a million of the same comments on a video that's almost a year old now still popping up in your YouTube feed, it kind of makes you want to do this at the start of every video. So, is what it is. Anyways, let me cut back to Harldan as of 2 hours ago, and he will explain what I'm going to be doing at the start of the speedrun. And we're hopping right into it. So here's the thing. I lied. We're actually not. We're force closing the game. Because what we can do now is go into our files, copy, and delete. What the fuck is going on? Good thing this doesn't actually start our timer. Otherwise, this would be frustrating. Okay, delete, please. Thank you. There we go. This should be correct. Now, I've had issues in the past with copying over my UI from one character to another in Final Fantasy XIV. It doesn't really always do what I want it to do. That said, this time I have literally gone out of my way to label my folder. So I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think that I've gotten it right this time. Maybe. And this is important because, I mean, it's just not fun having to fumble around with my, settings, trying to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, the start of a speedrun. It's just not fun for me. It's not a fun viewing experience. And here's the thing. It doesn't, waste any time. I've seen some people saying it wastes time because you have to start the run and stuff. No, you don't. Because the run starts, according to the official speedrun.com rules, as soon as we skip the cutscene. And we did not skip the cutscene. All we did is exit the game. As you will see, the cutscene is still very much there. Like I said, we hit that, skip cutscene, and the run has started. Moment of truth. Did the copy work correctly? Mouse, keyboard. It did! Hooray! Doesn't always. I don't know why. But I'm happy that it seems to have worked this time. That is definitely good to know. So, since I basically am doing an off-meta strategy here, I effectively had to create my own route for the first 20 levels or so. I'm quite happy with it. I think I did a pretty good job, all things considered. Now you might notice I'm not using sprint here. That is very much intentional. We're gonna have to sprint in a second, but for now, no sprinting. Okay. Okay. So, now I'm going to get stuck on this chair, intentionally, totally. Click off these really annoying beginner icons. Okay. Ah, I forgot that it does that. I wasted my sprint. Okay, whatever. It's kind of difficult to route the first hour of a Final Fantasy XIV speedrun, because it's just absurdly open-ended. I suppose in some ways that's good. Like, it gives me more freedom to route it, but it's also just extremely stressful. Like, the more options you have for speedrun routing, just the more stressful it can be, because then you always end up second-guessing yourself. If I have to go through a specific quest or area, yeah, sure, sometimes it sucks that things will intentionally increase the length of a speedrun. Yeah, I can see the frustration there. But in reality, you have to think of it like, you're really just saving yourself time in the long run, because, yeah, the actual run itself might take some time, but the planning for the run, which is infinitely longer than the run itself, ends up being much shorter, because you don't really need to spend as much time thinking through it. And I've already had to spend, I don't even know how much time, routing this thing, so... Fucking goddamn. That, I was infinitely closer to the Aethernet shard, and targeted that guy. So for people who don't understand how I'm interacting with these things, I have a keybind set up that targets the closest NPC or interactable object. And then when I get close to it, like so, I press another keybind that interacts with whatever I currently have selected. So what I'm trying to do is, in most cases, line myself up so that I can quickly select and then interact. But in some cases, it can be a bit finicky, because something else will be closer, but I need to interact with like an Ethernet shard, as you see, from like a long distance. So in that case, I just need to get a really good click on that object, and then press the interact keybind. Okay, so we're going to go around the left side here. Okay. Nice job, plant. Interact this here. The hitboxes on the Ethernet charts are kind of wonky, as you can see. That's another thing that makes it, like, really tricky. There's a lot of interacting in Final Fantasy. I'm not going to necessarily say this is a bad thing, but this game has way more menus than, like, World of Warcraft, for instance. World of Warcraft, there are very few menus besides, like, quest accept boxes, I guess. I don't know. Like, I'm not really sure exactly how to do that, how to describe that. Also, a lot of, like, the interaction... Are you kidding me? Okay, there we go. It's mildly frustrating. Then we do this. Gladiators Guild. Yeah, so a lot of the interaction in World of Warcraft, you just kind of right-click an NPC, and then add-ons, like, auto-interact. There might be add-ons like that for Final Fantasy, but I don't really think so, because since a lot of things are in these, like, multi-step dialogue boxes, it's not just an easy, like, insta-turn-in kind of thing. So I don't even know if add-ons would help. Maybe they would. Right, this scene cannot be skipped. Okay. And then I have to hit yes. Yes. Okay. Now, the first main barrier in any Final Fantasy XIV speedrun is getting your item level 5 gear in every slot, because that is a requirement to progress through one of the main story quests. But it is worth noting that for ul'dah, I'm not entirely sure about Gridania. Admittedly, I haven't routed Gridania super closely. It's one of those things where if I realize that I have no other choice but to run the metastrat of healer, I will go and I will learn Gridania. I will definitely eat that if I have to. The world record will be mine. That I can guarantee you. But ideally, I want it to be with a tank. So I've spent an immense amount of time trying to find optimal routes for ul'dah and for Limsa. And I've definitely noticed that the ul'dah questline has the stage where you need to go and, like, present yourself at, like, level, or item level 5 at level 8, rather than level 5, which is what Limsa has it. So that gives you a decent amount of additional quests where you can just kind of, like, farm gold. And that makes things a lot easier. Okay, skip cutscene. Return, cool. Okay, Aethernet, Gates of Nulls. Popping this as soon as I can, just to make things faster. You also might be wondering why I'm not using, like, a food item or something to give myself the XP boost. Technically speaking, it could make a little bit of a difference, but the reality is that XP is not going to matter in this run. We're playing on a preferred server. That is effectively required for the speedrun. It's not like a listed requirement, but it is a category, and it is the only competitive category, so it's the one that I'm going to be running. And as a result, admittedly, it is very nice. You don't need to worry about experience, because double XP kind of, you know, removes any need to care. So I can pop sprint here. It's not really much else that I'm going to use it at. Now, once I get my AoE, I can speed things up a little bit, but admittedly, early gameplay for melee specs can be a bit slow because your damage window is a bit, like, weaker. That's kind of one of the biggest advantages of melee DPS, and this game and most games really. You have, generally speaking, better AoE. So, whereas range DPS can DPS from afar and start getting some damage in early, melee DPS have to reach melee and then start doing damage. But yes, in theory, you make up for it with the fact that you have stronger AoEs. This is not always the case, I should note. But generally speaking, that's how it goes, especially with tanks. Tanks have relatively good AoEs because they need to be able to hold threat. We get ours relatively early at level 6, so we're not far off. Okay. Level 4 is all we need to get there. Okay, now I go to Adventurer's Guild. One of the other things that could be kind of tricky is, like, in that case, should I have gone to the Adventurer's Guild first and waited until much later to go to the Gladiator's Guild? I don't know. Maybe. There's an argument to be made. Is the time difference mere seconds? Yes, absolutely. It's literally not even noticeable. But the fact that that argument does exist is what makes routing Final Fantasy such an absolute nightmare. There's so many, like, different things that you need to juggle. And it's kind of weird, right? Because in World of Warcraft, you know, you have... It almost seems like it should be... Central Banner, my brain is... it almost seems like it should be harder to route, because you have to care about experience. That's the only thing that you, in theory, care about. So it almost seems like, well, it should be a harder thing to route, because experience is kind of harder to figure out than, like, just progressing through a quest line. Now, that's kind of what I thought as well. But the reality in World of Warcraft is that that's exactly what you do. Because a lot of quest-efficient zones are efficient all the way through. There's very few zones, like the Alliance route is kind of complicated because of that, because you do jump off at certain points. But generally speaking, I mean, the fastest route is just the fastest zones. There's not really much of an exception to that. Okay, hand this in. Take this. So yeah, that creates a bit of a weird dynamic where in WoW, like, for example, Silverpine Forest is just the fastest questing zone. So I'm always going to do Silverpine Forest. Gorgron is like the fastest questing zone, but there are a few exceptions, like some of the things in Gorgron you kind of want to cut out, as I usually do. And one of the main reasons that you end up being so zone questline focused in WoW is that a lot of the end of questline quests give really big chunks of experience. So you're encouraged to kind of go through an entire questline. And additionally, travel time does matter a lot, both in WoW and Final Fantasy. So if one zone is just overall more efficient than another, it's generally speaking going to be more efficient to just pick the better overall zone and then progress all the way through it, rather than trying to pick out the best parts of one zone and the best parts of another and, like, swapping between them, because by the time that you end up swapping between different zones, you're losing time. It's not efficient in reality. So WoW ends up being very, very, very streamlined, very go down these quest lines, and then really the only thing is, how do you route the actual quests to be the fastest? Like, one of the hardest things to route is, like, Hillsbrad Foothills, because there's a lot of, like, variance in where the quests are, and, you know, you get, like, 10 of them at a single time. It's like, okay, well, what line can I draw that most efficiently hits all of these quests in the right order? But in Final Fantasy, it's different. In Final Fantasy, you have your main story quest, and that is what you are going to be progressing along the entire time. So I feel like the main story quest kind of sets the pace for how you do pretty much everything else. let's skip here. So I'm gonna jump up here, and then do this. Check my inventory. Okay, I already have potions on my bars. Brilliant. Love to see it. So, yeah, basically you can think of the main story quest in Final Fantasy XIV as your anchor. That is what you build everything else around. As long as you are constantly making some sort of progress towards your main story quest, that's what's important. And a lot of the time when you're working on other things that are unrelated to your main story quest, it's either a requirement later down the road. So, for example, eventually in the run, I'm going to have to do the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower is a requirement. Let me get this skip. There we go.
Oh.
So the Crystal Tower is going to be a requirement later on down the track in order to finish A Realm Reborn. So even though that's not directly part of the main story quest, at no point does it tell us go do the Crystal Tower. That is 100% a side quest. We want to go do the Crystal Tower in the most efficient time possible, because eventually the game will just say, in order to continue the main story quest, you must have completed the Crystal Tower. So I go, okay, how do I route in the Crystal Tower in the most efficient way possible? And different people have tried to figure it out. I believe there is like a general consensus on what the fastest way to do it is, so we'll see. But okay, hit them both. Nice. Trying to get as much cleave as possible. Ah, I fucked up. I didn't get... My ability missed, so I... Okay, this is annoying. Did I hit? Thank you. It can be a bit RNG with, low-level quests like this. Like, I'm actually getting decent hit rates, but you never know. Every once in a while, that happens. And it's quite frustrating. Okay, we're gonna cleave them down. Remember, damage efficiency is always better on 3 targets to use AoEs. This time, because it is almost dead, and I'm certain I can cleave it down, and I already started my combo with that. Okay, come on, right blade. Ah, Thancred sniped the kill! That's fine. Thing takes a hell of a long time to die. Where was I? Oh yeah, but there's a lot of other stuff. One of the other big things that I need to keep in mind is my job quest. So, you saw there I did the job quest at the start. That's just because it's... I don't know if I would say that it's faster to do it right there at the start, but I don't know if we really get enough experience to continue the main story quest without doing at least that one quest right off the bat. And, you know, who knows. This is like, as far as I've managed to route it. It's about as close to perfect, I think, as I can get it. There's definitely minor optimizations that I'm sure I'll stumble upon. It's not, like, the best thing ever, but is it good enough? Yes, I'm happy with it. Okay. What? Damn it. Work with me here, game. I'm trying to do a speedrun. Don't fuck me over. Okay. Do this, check. So I need gloves, chest, and helmets off the vendor. We're coming close to reaching the quest where it's going to tell us that we need to do our dress up. And there are two options, really. You can do a bunch of side quests to get there. And that, obviously takes some time. Or, alternatively, you can just make sure you have enough gold and then buy the items. And at this point, I feel like because we have all of those quests in between now and getting the gear, we just have enough gold to actually go ahead and buy it. I think that's probably just faster. And then the only concern after that, so like, at that point, what's the concern with spending gold? Why wouldn't you just do that anyway? Like, why would you add extra quests into your route when you can just not add extra quests into your route? And that's a good question, and I think the main reason why is teleportation costs. And especially early on, before we really get like a good gold buffer going, we're going to be teleporting around a lot, and we are not going to have the money required to pay for it most of the time. So in order to get the money required, I need to basically nickel and dime every single thing that I do. So leather eye patch, hempen tabard, and fingerless leather gloves. Sure. Okay, and okay. We take the money. And that's one of those things where, yeah, we had a gear upgrade there, but I don't really care. The reality is, the gear upgrade doesn't matter because we just bought another gear upgrade. I'm thinking 2 quests ahead. Whoops. So we just bought a gear upgrade. Now, admittedly, that was only 100 gil. But I would say at that point, is 1 strength worth 100 gil? I don't think so. I really don't think so. We're going to replace it relatively soon, so it's maybe giving us a, like, minuscule damage increase for, like, a few minutes. So that amounts to just a few seconds. Tops. Could even be less than that, for all I know. And that's going up against literally an entire teleportation cost is worth a kill. So I think the choice is clear, personally. Okay. Go to Blackbrush Station. Like, so think of it this way. The amount of time we would have saved killing those goblins and like a few mobs up here, think of the amount of difference that 1 strength would have made there in terms of time saved. And compare that to the amount of time saved teleporting from there over to here. Because that's what 100 gil got us. We're once again going to take the 100 gil. Now, I am going to go over here before I do anything else. Purchase battle gear. And I'm going to quickly sell all my items here. Now I'm sitting on 700 gil. Should be more than enough for teleportation costs for quite a bit. Also, even though I've unlocked Tank Stance doesn't actually do anything besides provide additional threat. And while leveling, I actually don't want to use Tank Stance. Basically, there's a lot of quests where I'll have to go into the middle of a bunch of enemies and start spamming AoEs to, efficiently cleave them down. And if I am in Tank Stance, I will have aggro off every single one of those mobs because of my increased threat generation. Or enmity generation, as they call it in this game. So we go back in here, we talk to him. Go down there. So basically, the downside to having threat on a lot of mobs while doing quests is we want NPCs to basically tank for us. most NPCs in like the guided quest battles really can't die. Like, if they die, they would have to be focused down, like, an absolute shit ton, and even then, they do very, very minimal damage, most of the time. But I would say any NPC that can actually do relevant damage, like, you know, Thancred before, or some of our job quest NPCs later on down the track, any of those, generally speaking, are so unkillable that we don't need to worry, and we'd much rather have them tanking all the mobs and doing all the damage, while we just kind of, you know, mop up in their wake. So, having our tanking stance active while solo leveling really does no good for us. And here, he's going to do a bunch of stuff to me. I'm just going to stand here. It does... Oh, it applies blind. That one applies blind. Interesting. So, it's plain Cracker that does nothing. Right. Okay. Well, now I know. And I lost some DPS. So let's call that a 5-second time loss. It's a learning experience. I've always dodged out of that. This time I just said, you know what if I don't? That's what happens. That's why you do mechanics, kids. That's the end of that quest. Skip cutscene. And then right back into another one. Skip cutscene. Ahaha. My cutscene skipping stance is impeccable. Now, I have seen an argument to be made with using this thing here to get teleports in. I probably should get more used to using it because it can, I think, be slightly faster. But I have so much muscle memory just utilizing the map that in many cases I'm just going to do that. I think for like long distance teleports that's going to be more useful. But we can do this and just go ul'dah. Aha, but wait. I need to return this time. I need to save Gil. We're saving money. We're economical adventurers. Admittedly, it does really hurt me to teleport around so much. Like, I know that most people think that I absolutely love speed and stuff. What I truly love is efficiency. That is like one of the things I like about speedrunning. But in the same way, to me, money is also efficiency. So when I'm actually like playing through stuff on my own, I consider not just how efficient I can use my time, but also how efficiently I can use my money. So if I think that something is so fast that it's not worth using Gil on, like for a teleport, I'll just fly there. There's obviously like a mental kind of like transference point where I reach and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, that's probably faster to just take the teleport. But here, you know, obviously how much gold you have at the end of the run doesn't matter. Time is the only metric, so that is the only thing that I am being judged upon. Okay, Momodi, give me that quest. Yep, don't care. Should note that when I say don't care, I'm saying specifically that I don't care about this time. I've done this questline a million times, just to be clear. I've played Final Fantasy's questline like over and over and over, not just for practice runs, but also, you know, the first time I played through it, the second time I played through it. I am not skipping cutscenes because I'm like, ew, story. Like, I've already seen the story a million times. Right now, I'm just... That guy's name was Lussy Pips. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. You figure out what that's supposed to mean. I don't want to get demonetized, but, interesting. This is a Japanese server, by the way. Should note that. Adventurers Guilds. Alright. Okay, the NPC's still loading in. Okay, nice. I'll explain in a second what I just did there. Okay, Ill-mannered Marauder. Nice. So basically what I'm doing, this quest requires me to emote at them. I have to do /me. Now, admittedly, this is one of the fastest emotes, so it's only about like a 2-second time loss each time you do the emote. But if you are like doing kind of like a movement on a slope or something while emoting, it actually cancels your emote immediately, so you don't need to sit there and wait for it. If you're perfectly standing still, it does actually play your emote though. But by going on an incline like that, and then moving backwards, and then hitting the button at the exact same time, it's efficient. So now we go over here and do that, and it didn't work. There we go. Lost a little bit of time there, but overall, not a big deal. Could probably be argued that it's faster to... Yeah, in fact, I probably should have done that before talking to Momodi again. Yeah, okay. That's minor time loss. Very minor. That's what I mean, though. Like, without ridiculous muscle memory, or just memory in general, how do you know that, okay, this quest will intersect at Momodi, so I need to go ahead and go pick up this quest and then do multiple steps ahead of time, and then, you know, the quest will intersect at Momodi, and then blah. It's a lot. It's a fucking lot, man. The one thing I did remember, I forgot about the part where it intersected at Momodi, but it does once again intersect here. We go Western Thanalan. There is no faster way to get to the place we need to get to for the main story quest. I will show it on the map. So I'm just gonna time this jump. Here, let's go. So, place we need to get to for the main story quest. It's up there, Horizon. Now, the fastest way to get here by far is going out this gate. And the job quest objective is over there. So, we're saving time, hitting 2 birds, 1 stone. Now, admittedly, so the world record speedrun does Gridania, as I mentioned, and does Conjurer. And they finish and get to the first dungeon at literally 1 hour into the speedrun. So that, I would say that's our time to beat. But here's the thing. They also don't do any of their class quests until level 30. Literally, they do level 1, and then ignore everything else. Now, not only do I think this is impractical for, Paladin, or Gladiator. I do think their routing is sound. I'm not trying to diss on the world record speedrun. Because they're doing Conjurer, they're doing basically an entirely different run at the start than us. So, them doing, what is the word that I'm trying to conjure in my mouth? Ah. Okay. Take this shit. Okay, then I go this way. So, yeah, okay, them doing their Conjurer quest at level 30 is actually a really good idea, because there's a lot of intersection between the Conjurer quests and the level 30 main story quests. So, it makes sense. I think it's actually like the level 25 main story quests, and they're slightly over-leveled, but, you know, same thing. There's a lot of intersection when they reach that point in the run, so naturally it makes sense for them to actually go ahead and wait to do the quests there. We don't do that for 2 reasons with Gladiator. The first reason is there is actually a lot of intersection just in the starting zone. So in our starting, like, quests, there's a decent amount of intersection. It's not perfect. Like, as you saw, I was able to get kind of some stuff done on the way. It's not amazing, but, you know, intersection is intersection. We take it. And then also, because I'm tanking, the ability that I get from my level 15 quest actually does matter quite a lot. So talk to this guy, skip cutscene, take money. We're not going to be taking gear just yet. Get the aetherite right here. So, I'm not entirely sure what the healer one is, but I generally believe that it's not super important. However, the ability we get from the tank level 15 quest is the heroic throw equivalent. I believe it's shield lob for paladin. Basically, I always love to call abilities like that, like heroic throw. That's the warrior and WoW version. I don't even know if paladin and WoW actually has one. I don't think it does, honestly. I'm pretty sure paladin and WoW, does it have a heroic throw option? I think its heroic throw option is just supposed to be Avenger's Shield, which is a rotational ability, so it doesn't really matter. But, like, you know, Demon Hunter has Throw Glaive. Death Knight, technically speaking, has no heroic throw option because it has Death's Caress instead. I guess you could, in theory, call Death's Grip a heroic throw option, but it doesn't have a spammable one. Either way, I'm not going to go on a WoW rant. I guess, yeah, Bear doesn't really have one. Bear's is Moonfire, I suppose, but once again, Moonfire is actually a core rotational ability. Point being, Shield Lob here, it's on my bars because I copied over my UI. But it's a basically ranged threat generator. And if you know anything about tanking in WoW, you know that using Heroic Throw properly when doing big pulls in dungeons is quite important. Because you're not going to be able to efficiently group up everything. Some stuff is naturally going to slip through the cracks. So, being able to, like, quickly grab aggro on a mob that, like, gets separated from you and drag it into your cluster is extremely important. Especially when you're going out of your way to go, like, really, really fast. So if I'm doing super fast, efficient pulls in dungeons, it's absolutely crucial that I have my Heroic Throw equivalent Shield Lob. And that means that I need to do my level 15 quests. Now, I would maybe try to make do if it wasn't for the fact that it was actually quite efficient. So, between it being efficient and it really helping the dungeons, I figured, why not? We'll do it here. Okay, so I did unfortunately get aggro on this Desert Beast heist. I know how to say it. Oh, this is bad. That guy took my Sunmage Swarm. I actually haven't had this happen. I mean, I'm playing at 5 AM, and these generally have pretty fast respawn rates. So it is actually kind of rare for another player to just randomly stumble into the same area that I'm in. Really bad for me. Terrible timing. I really hope they... Oh, no, they are really fucking me in the ass. Oh, come on, buddy. Come on. Literally picked the worst possible time to do your quest. It's okay. I'll make do. Oh no, please don't tell me. Dude, come on! There's closer ones! Oh, Jesus Christ, this is so bad for me. Oh my god. All of the ones that I plan to route through. Okay, I'm eating a 15-second time loss here. In fact, okay, it's admittedly not the biggest deal. Because I can do this. Normally I try to route it so I end here, so it's like basically at horizon. and it would be a time loss to actually TP, but in this point, I guess, call it a 5-second time loss, because 5-second and 100 gil time loss. We'll go with that. Okay, gonna go with this. Last letter to Lost Hope. Can I click accept? Mouse. Central Thanalan map. Yeah, so in cases like that, you could argue that using the teleport menu would be really efficient. If I was really, really good at menuing. It took me maybe like 3 seconds to find that. Maybe if I was good at menuing, it could have taken me like 1.5 or 2. I don't know. I'd like to think that I'm generally pretty fast at utilizing the map. I've done it so many times over the course of the game. But it is one of those things where I can admit that I potentially see the time save there. But it's hard to say, right? Because there is a certain element of speedrunning of, like, you need to go with what you're familiar with. That's also one of the reasons why I'm going with a tank. Like, if I was absolutely an insane expert white mage, I would just go with white mage, I'm sure. If I was already, like, seeing that it was really efficient, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm super experienced with white mage, why not? But I'm not. I do think that my experience as tank will carry me through this run. I do believe that I can manage it. But I intentionally need to do it differently. Specifically because of the fact that I'm more familiar with tank. And in a similar vein, I am infinitely more experienced with just using the map to do teleports. So it can be argued that, yes, in theory, it might be faster, assuming perfect play on both ends, to utilize the teleport panel. But it would take me so long to actually learn how to utilize the teleport panel effectively, that with my current muscle memory, it is simply going to be faster for me almost every single time. If I just use the map. Okay. What the hell? I don't know why it opened the chat window there. Okay. So this is a tough one. This quest can be very, 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 very tricky. Shit. Because I'm in combat, my sprint doesn't last as long. I really hate how that happens. I wish it was only in instance combat. I feel like in world combat, you shouldn't lose that bonus. Because now, yeah, 20 seconds when not in combat, like, that feels really bad. It's a decent speed loss. Okay, so I need to get through here without pulling aggro. Which is, like, basically impossible. Come on, hug the wall, hug the wall. Burn, burn, burn. Son. And get the fuck out of here! Oh, I hate this quest so much. I hate this quest so much. I hate this quest so much. Ah. Nope, 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 nope. I know it might not seem like it's that hard, but you have to realize that all of the pathing that I did there is insanely deliberate. I've died on that quest a few times. Like, you're intended to kind of, like, fight your way in. Dive bombing the quest NPC is really not what's intended, and those guys will fuck you up really quickly. So I need to go in. I popped my tank cooldown, I stunned him when he did his paralyze, and I popped my damage CD to burn him as fast as humanly possible. So everything there was very, very, very deliberate. Okay, Fufalupa and Horizon. Yeah, that was like 3 seconds, right? Like, click, map, click. Like, we're good. I don't know. I think I'm overthinking it. I'm like I'm freaking out because obviously, like, you know, I see the world record do all these like super fancy things that admittedly I'm not good at. So now I'm like, oh shit, am I never going to be able to get world record because I don't know how to do XYZ? And as tempting as it is to take the money on this next one, because, like, look at this. That's 600 gil! Oh! But that shield is really, really, really good. We're not going to get a pretty good shield for quite a while. We need to take that. It's unfortunate, but that's just kind of how it goes, really. And then the problem is right now, I've done it multiple times, even just today. During practice runs, I've done the level 10 Marauder quest. Or not Marauder, fuck. I've done the level 10 Gladiator quest, and yet, when I sit there and rack my brain for what the quest is, I'm drawing a blank. I have no idea what it's going to be. And that's what I really hate. My memory is just not good enough for Final Fantasy yet. No, I may be experienced in this game, but compared to WoW, like my time played there, it's nothing. I have absolutely no experience here compared to most other veterans. I've been playing for like 2 years now? 3 years, maybe? Which, I mean, decent amount of time, right? But, like, this game's been out for quite a while. And considering I've been playing WoW for, like, 18 years now, it's not even close. Okay. I like to go straight for Baron von Quiveron. Fresh their food buff should help a little bit. Need to remember to keep doing it. Yeah, I'll double up on it. He gave me slow. Okay. Never seen him do that before, which kind of pisses me off a little bit. Did I get hit by something? I think he might have used Heartstopper, but because it was in the water, I didn't see it. I think that's what happened. Makes sense. Okay, speak with Foopalupa and Horizon. Foofalupa. I'm just gonna keep calling him Foopalupa. Sounds funnier. Okay, now we return to Ul'dah. First things first, I need to go to the Gladiators Guild because I feel like there's very often a lot of intersect. And I keep mixing it up. Okay, Internet, Gladiators Guilds. Don't care. Search for the freelancers in Stone's Throw. It's this one. Right. Right. Okay, Adventurers Guilds. Yeah, right. Okay, I think I remember this. I literally just did this like 3 hours ago and I've already forgotten. Like, literally a fucking peanut brain, man. I will say, it feels really depressing when I know that, like, I should be able to do this. I should be able to memorize this, and I just can't. Like, I want to be like, oh, it's unfair. Like, you know, why can't my brain do this? But, like, really, it literally is just my fault. I have nobody else to blame but myself. That's kind of the worst feeling, right? One of the worst feelings you could have is knowing that, no, something is just your fault. There's no excuse you can use. You are just being a fucking dumb shit. So I just need to be better. Plain and simple. I just need to play better. I need to remember better. I need to do a lot of things better. Okay. Get over. Is it the Heart of the Sworn? Yes. Now, if I didn't do my level 5 class quest, it's possible that I can actually match the time of the world record run. So we're going to go out the central gate. Like, by the looks of it, so here's the thing. I spent about, like, 5 minutes on that, I think it's fair to say. This last thing takes maybe 5 minutes-ish. After that, I am literally directly on pace with the world record run. I really think ul'dah is just as fast. I really don't think I'm losing any time here. Fucking teleport. Maybe I wasn't, because I definitely didn't step in any AoE. And I still got slowed there. Map, ul'dah. I mean, that's a pretty effective way to teleport to, like, wherever you want to go. Just quest, map, teleport. It's pretty consistent, in my opinion. We have a very, very, very sizable gold buffer built up here. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do this entire quest right here, the Gladiators one, before moving on to the main story quest. Always do this. Always do that. I always start walking out. As if I'm gonna fucking teleport somewhere like a fucking dumbass. And I need to teleport here to Bifrost Station, which... Why do I do that? Man, why? Why does my brain do that? I'm so fucking stupid. Okay, so the tin pieces are 25, the bronze pieces are 100. I need to keep that in mind. So there I built up a Riot Blade off that guy. Now we're gonna head over to here where he spawns. Stun him before he can do anything. I'm just shield bashing him because I don't want to get slowed. He'll do it anyway. But I feel like all these mobs are slowing me today, and it's not fun. Okay, good, got him. And as far as I know, no cutscene after this one. And then speak with Bruce, and then report to Mila, right? Bingo. Bingo, bango, bongo. Happy with that. Okay. Now, the reason that I'm getting this quest done now, it took about 5 minutes, as you can see, so really not that bad. I would say 5 minutes per class quest is, like, relatively standard. You can get them done slightly faster once you have a mount, which is, if you notice, the world record does that. But here, you're saving very minimal amounts of time, because a lot of it takes place within the city. You're just teleporting around. And one of the other things, so because the world record, because it's in Gridania, you have to go there by the time you have a mount already. So either way, the first time you go there can either be with a mount or without a mount. It's effectively your choice. Do you do it early and go there without a mount, or do you go there with a mount? Now, the reason why it doesn't really matter for me, and like a dumbass, I start running out again for some reason. It doesn't matter for me because the place that our level 15 quest is at is Camp Drybone. And Camp Drybone is somewhere we need to go to kill a Freet. And a Freet is one of the main story quests before we actually unlock mounts. So no matter what, the first time we go there will either be without a mount or without a mount. And that means that the travel time can be calculated effectively equidistantly. This is a DPS loss. The shield, I believe, is a DPS loss. Can equip Ring of Freedom, but it's trash. This thing sucks. I never equipped that because I'm fucking retarded. Okay. So, since the distance is equal, we're already halfway to Camp Drybone right now, just by heading out here to do this quest. So it is faster for me to, right after doing this quest, immediately segue this into my level 15 class quest and finish it off there. Okay, good. Now, one thing worth noting about this, we do have to kill every single one of these NPCs. So here, if I position myself perfectly, I can hit 4 targets, so really efficient. There's no way to get around the heal. He'll always do like a big pulse heal whenever these guys drop low. So we're just trying to dish out as much damage as possible. Gonna trigger their healing and then some of them are gonna die. Then I go over here. It's impossible to reach him and all 3 of these, so I'm just gonna get complete on all 3. Then what I'm doing here, just nuking these down one by one, because I'm going to get a lot of misses on that guy, because of the way it scales. I can get some damage in on him. Then the NPCs over there are going to run in. When they do, I'm going to swap to them. That targeting will let me. These guys are required. The NPCs on our side should deal with the other guys. I'm generally not an issue. It's just those 2 guys right there that generally don't get taken out. And the reason why it's important to prioritize them first is because since we have to kill them anyway, one of them can start casting healing spells. So if we nuke them first, they effectively just have less overall health. And then he'll send in guys like this. We just take him out real quick. The reason I did 2 fast blades, technically that was a mistake. Okay. I did not expect him to get healed right on Death's Door, but that's unfortunate. Alright, yeah. Stun that. Okay. So right here, I'm going to put a Riot Blade into this guy. Now we have 3 targets. You know what that means? Leave time. I got hit by that? Okay. Whatever. There's still one bowman over there with, like, barely any HP. I need the NPCs to take it out. Good, they got him. And now we fight the big fucker. The big lad, if it loads. We want to slowly kite him over here. Just so we can get as much DPS in on the Masked Mage as possible once that phase starts. Oh no, we're poisoned. Whatever shall I do? Whence springs this preternatural light? Mwahahaha! Writhe as the venom eats its way through your veins. You know, this part isn't voiced, so I figure I just, you know, help out with the immersion. In unwelcome guest, no matter, all shall fall before me. Okay, we've reached 1 hour. So what we're shooting for, effectively, when we get to Sastasha, the absolute perfect time would be somewhere in the realm of 1 hour 15. Because if we get 1 hour 15, that's 5 minutes for each of the job quests. I would be perfectly happy with that. That's about what I would be expecting. And if we're slightly slower than that, I'm kind of fine too. Now we need to skip cutscene. There we go. And I believe there's just the one. No sprints. Gotta be careful, because we get too close to these toads, they will tongue us. It's not fun. We don't like to get tongued. Not without consent. Alright, there we go. Yeah, so I kind of was going into this run accepting that I'd be eating a bit of a time loss at the start with my ul'dah opening. But I've noticed that the times are actually fairly consistent. So I'm actually perfectly fine with it. So if I basically end up at a 15-minute deficit, but 3 job quests up, I am more than okay with that. I think I would consider that roughly time equivalent. That's not to say that the world record takes exactly 5 minutes with each of his job quests, but I mean, it's around 5 minutes. So, once again, I would say that is perfectly ideal. I'm actually very happy with how this has gone. I mean, is this opening perfect? No, I could definitely have played it a little bit better. But I definitely think that I played this pretty well. This pretty much went about exactly as I intended. I don't think I had any major slip-ups. Everything was relatively clean. Obviously, maybe some minor menuing issues, but that's kind of to be expected. So I'm happy with this so far. Now I just need to do this quest. Then I hand in this. There's a bunch of, like, you know, generic filler quests. And, yeah. And this saves time, right? Because all of the time that I'm spending right now going to Drybone, unlocking that Aetherite, that cuts out, like, a minute or 2 of travel time that I would normally have to spend later on. Now, generally speaking, the same can be said for a lot of the other zones. But it just goes to show that, you know, ul'dah isn't worthless. I think a lot of people sleep on ul'dah. It's definitely not a bad starting zone. I kind of, like, was really surprised that everybody was only, like, considering Limsa and Gridania. Like, Gridania, obviously, I see why people run it. But Limsa, actually, despite the fact that I wanted to run it, when I did my tests, I found it was really efficient. So then I was really surprised then, when I tested ul'dah, I found that it was really good. So we go here, we go map, we go here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to return. I think that if I time this perfectly, I should have this up by the time that I need it. Maybe. That is my feeling. My gut feeling. Worst case scenario, I lose 600 gold. Is that run ending? No, it's not. It just kind of sucks. But if my hunch is correct, I gain 100 gold. Now, you might say, oh, well, that's kind of a shitty gamble. You know, gain 100 gold for a chance of losing 600. But I'm confident in my assumptions this time. I have a feeling that we're going to end around 1 hour, 20 minutes. Or get to Sastasha. I say end, because that's where a lot of my practice runs have ended. Because that's, you know, what I really want to optimize. Getting up to Sastasha. At that point, once you get to Sastasha, it's mostly just a straight shot. There's obviously optimization to be had, but it's one of those things where you basically just follow the main story quest marker. And then you head back to ul'dah, and you just, like, do your class quests whenever you can. It's really not the kind of thing that you need to route super intensely. We are definitely getting some frame drops. That is no fun. Part kind of sucks because I can't realistically do enough damage to actually matter. So I just have to kind of slowly chip away at these guys as efficiently as possible while Aldous here does like all of the work. It's also funny, he uses old gladiator abilities. That AoE blind that he just cast used to be the gladiator ability. I don't think it exists anymore. I think they removed it and replaced it with Total Eclipse. Maybe somebody with better memory than I have elaborate on that for me. So I could be going over there and getting 3 hits at once, but I realistically think that Aldous is going to be able to do enough damage to all of them. And I think that the amount of travel time it'll take for him to go all the way over to this isolated mob that he just kind of forgot about will be longer. So I'm just going to finish it off. Remember, 2 targets, it's still not efficient to use the AoE. The AoE, it does 120 damage per enemy. So, what that means is, on 2 enemies, it has a DPS of 240. Now, our single target rotation, first ability does 200, second ability does 300. So, average that out, our damage per second is 250, so it's more than AoE. So 2 targets, you do single target rotation, 3 targets, you do AoE. Now, mind you, this does change when you get your AoE upgraded ability, but I do not get that until level 40. So for now, this is the formula that we're going to be going with. It's also kind of interesting how a lot of AoE abilities in Final Fantasy XIV work, because, for instance, the Paladin one is kind of easy to use. It hits literally everything around you. It's a full 360-degree arc. So I can, as you see, just sit in the middle of mobs and easily line that up. But, for example, the Warrior AoE ability is like a very weird cone. It's decently long, but it's a very tight cone shape. You can't, like, really easily cleave down mobs, which, I don't know, kind of feels awkward to me. I take pants there. I always forget. So I did hit level 20. But I am not going to do that questline yet. I'm gonna equip this. Equip. What did I pick? Did I pick pants? Yeah, I picked pants. God, I'm so dumb! Okay. Alchemist Guild. Okay. Fucking click the wrong guy. Oh. Okay, complete. Speak with Momodi at the quicksand. Get my pop-up blocked by some random-ass tutorials. What does ul'dah Ring do? I think it's like 1 direct hit rate or something, right? What's it? 1 direct hit rate, 1 blunt resistance. Oh my god. Wow. That's amazing. Now I need to go do some fetch quests, which, you know, always fun. But we are almost done here. Okay, we have to go to the Goldsmith's Guild. Back to Momodi. Adventurers Guilds. Yeah, so this part is a decent bit of back and forth. Nice. Got the jump. Check my earrings. Equip. Chamber of Rule. Cutscene. Good. Then out here, teleport. Nice. I remembered to do it this time. I sometimes forget to do that teleport. You know, brain just short circuits or something. I don't fucking know. Doing good. I'm doing good. I'm like mentally freaking out for no reason. I need to chill the fuck out sometimes, honestly. Okay, we jump at this potted plant. Nice. Lock the Raban. Frame rate chugged for a second there. Now you might notice I'm going to the lift attendant here, airship landing. Rather than the lift attendant on the second floor, it's faster than going to the Aetheryte and teleporting up to Chamber of Rule. I should know, I busted out a stopwatch and timed it. Good skip. Did I get it? Oh, yeah, that was a good cutscene skip. If you get it really early, you don't get to see any of the cinematic. Slightly faster. Although now I'm getting cursed with a super long load screen. Ugh. Enter the landing area, yes. Bulwark Hall. My brain. Okay. I fucked up. I took a bit to skip that cutscene. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't do it. I'm like freaking out right now. I don't know why. Okay. And after attuning to this, need to set home points. Okay, good. Now I sprint over to the elevator. I go back up to the airship landing. I go to Gridania. Airship landing, yes. Alright, gonna head out the door here, wrap around. So I'm gonna attune to every Aetheryte in Gridania. It's honestly pretty quick, and Gridania is a place we're going to have to go around to a lot. The reason I kind of skipped Limsa a bit is because we're immediately going to have to go to one of the next Aetheryte spots, and the path that we're going to take to get to that place is pretty much like we're going to have to travel it either way, so we might as well unlock it as we go along there. Okay, let's go here. It's kind of hard to find the sweet spot, because the problem with trying to attune to an Aetheryte early is if I spam click the interact button, what sometimes happens is it tries to interact while out of range of the Aetheryte, and then it puts you in this like 2-second animation lock of like, you're not allowed to interact with the Aetheryte. So sometimes walking for an additional second just to be absolutely sure that you're within range of the Aetheryte is faster than like trying to do a max range interact and failing it and then getting locked out for 2 seconds. Very, very minor optimization, but admittedly, it is very, very, very frustrating when the animation lock happens. You've probably noticed it a few times. It's subtle, but it is quite frustrating. So I really like to do my interacts like kind of parallel, I guess, to the aetheryte shards, like when I'm going alongside it, right when I'm next to it. Because that way I'm relatively certain that I'm within range, but I know that I'm not going to actually, like, lose time by walking up to it. The hard ones are the ones where you have to, like, approach it directly, because then it's kind of hard to gauge your distance, because you kind of have to get a max range, but it's, like, weird. Like this one. So, this should be good. Okay. Yeah, actually, I probably got a bit too close. I probably could have done it from back there. Let me go to, crap, Leatherworkers Guilds. Got frazzled for a second there. I believe Leatherworkers Guild is the fastest teleport spot. So, my last practice run time, I got to Sastasha at 1 hour 40 minutes. That said, I also did the level 40 quest there. I don't think it takes that much longer. The only long part is you have to travel pretty far out of the way to this, like, one little town in Thanalan, and you have to fight a bunch of mobs, and that quest can be kind of tricky, because, as you might imagine... Oh, see, I failed it there. And now, yeah, see, there was a minor animation lock. Obviously, it might look like I'm just sitting there doing nothing, but I'm actually pressing the button, and it's just not letting me interact with it. So that's what I'm talking about when I say there's a mini lock, because I did fail in that case. So you have to fight, like, giant waves of enemies for the Gladiator level 20 quest. And the problem with it is the fastest way to do it is sitting right in the middle of, like, all 10 enemies and just spamming Total Eclipse. And just cleaving them to pieces. The issue with doing that is you're going to get aggro on a lot of those enemies, and there's not a lot of healing NPCs in there. So if you get targeted by, like, 7 enemies, they can fucking shred you. It's... whew. Cap it again, man. I was pretty close that time. I don't know why. Did I accidentally, like, step and cancel it? Maybe. Either Miketo's Amphitheater. Okay. Yeah, so it's a bit tricky, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that probably in total took me about 10 minutes when I did it. Ooh, bit of a weird glitch there. Which means that, presumably, since I think I'm going to end this around 25 minutes, that's what I'm going for. Initially I was going for, as you heard, 20 minutes, but it does look like that might be out of reach. We'll see. I have to wait. I think I could do 25. I think I might just barely be able to get 25. Actually, you know what? Prediction, 26. 26 in a few seconds. We are getting some brutally long loading screens towards the end. I can feel my FPS just, like, dying. It's kind of frustrating, I'll be completely honest. I've been kind of pushing my computer a bit too hard, maybe. Okay, Minions tab is blocking me. I think it can go with a few good, like, 8 hours of sleep. Well, I sleep. Definitely isn't doing it any favors. Okay, where is... Spawn on the opposite side. Unlucky, but it is what it is. And we got an airship minion. Whoop-de-doo. Drowning wench. If I'm fast, I can do 26. Looking more like 27. Let's do Bronze Cuirass. I skipped a lot of gear upgrades in the middle there, so I admittedly do need to take the tanking piece. Gotta do what I gotta do, so whatever poor healer I get doesn't hate me. Re-equip the good earrings. Okay, so we're gonna go back to the Limsa Aetherite Plaza. Now, there is a faster way to get directly to the fishing area, but I believe that it is slower compared to doing this method, because the Aetherite at the end of this pathway, we're going to need in order to get to Waking Sands for the first time. So by just going straight down this pathway and interacting with the Aetherites here and then taking a side route to get to the fishing area, I do believe I'll be saving more time overall over the course of the run. So you might notice that, like, this run is going to end up being 27, 28 minutes over the 1 hour mark. The world record is 1 hour at this point. They reached 1 hour by the end of where I'm going to be ending this video. So we go to Hawker's Alley. And now you might be like, oh, well, that's a 28-minute time loss. That's terrible. But you do have to keep in mind that what I've done here is a lot more setup. So the world record kind of beelines straight through the main story quest. And honestly, I don't think that's efficient for me. I think that when the world record did it, it's fine. I do think they made certain decisions, like they go for the direct route towards the fishing area and do the other path to get to the Waking Sands place later. I think it's better to just do this now. That is the same in both cases. But personally, for me, I think because of the way my quests are laid out compared to Conjurer, I think it is faster for me to do my up to level 15 quests within this part of the run. And that does amount to a decent bit of time. So yeah, I'm losing time here, but I definitely shave off time going forward. And really, what matters here, I think the entirety of my time save throughout this run is going to come from my tanking. I'm confident in my tanking ability. And I think that with my knowledge of the dungeons, it may not be amazing. I haven't played this game as long as many people, but I've done these dungeons quite a bit, either just through my regular playthroughs of the main story quest or through Duty Roulette. I'm very confident in my ability to tank pretty much all of them. So I think that I should be able to do efficient pulls, not like stupid pulls. I'm not going to make the healer cry. But efficient pulls, like not one pack at a time, without, killing myself. And just overall, over the course of the entire run, that will speed up the process. Because the reality is, the farther I get along into my leveling, I'll be able to be pretty self-sufficient as a tank. Like, a good tank doesn't need a good healer. Yeah, if you're doing dungeon speedruns and you're doing literally wall-to-wall pulls, then yes, you need a really good healer. But if I'm doing just, like, aggressive pulling, not, like, over-the-top pulling, but just, like, fast, I'm relatively confident that I can survive for a pretty extended period of time without the help of a healer. So as long as they're, like, half-decent, I should be fine. But we will see. Not right now, because I kind of need sleep. It's 6:30, and I haven't really gotten much done. Okay, Sastasha is now available. You know what? I'll take that. For a starting time, I'm okay with that time. More than okay with it. Oh, is this guy a tank? Oh, that doesn't bode well. Considering he's waiting in a queue. Now, another thing I've been thinking about is what time of day I want to do this. It's tricky, right? Because, on one hand, I want to make sure that I get quick queues throughout the entirety of the run. But also, like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I feel like, generally speaking, maybe some of the trials towards the ends, um, maybe I won't need to have, like, super fast queues, because tanks are, generally speaking, pretty favored. So I should have naturally fast queues for a lot of the trials. And generally speaking, I mean, there are some dungeons that you have to do towards the end of the run, but it's a lot of trials, like Leviathan and Good King Moggle, etc., etc. So I think that's going to amount to a lot of the time that I spend towards the end of the run, but I don't know. I definitely want to make sure I do Sastasha, like, at a decent point of the day, so maybe, like, whenever I decide to really go for the world record, I'll wake up, like, early in the morning-ish. Time where that's reasonable, and, I can run it then. Maybe. We'll see. Either way, I'm pretty happy with that. I probably will do more practice in the future, but I think this is good enough for me to do as part 1 of this multi-segment practice run. So I hope you enjoyed watching it, and I will be back with the first few dungeons in the next episode.